Welcome back, everyone, to part 4 at this point, I'm pretty sure, of Crusading for a Turnabout, Case 2, Episode 3, Trial. I know I need to make up my mind whether I'm going to say all of that every time or not. Picking up where we left off, I did go and check, and the figure that's being threatened by the Timberwolf is, you don't visibly see them at the foot of the statue. But I believe it's right after you see the Timberwolf leap that you do get a scene of the statue. So that might be a hint. That is certainly a lot of blood, though, at the foot of the statue. So it is still rather concerning. All of that said, though, let's go ahead and get back into this.
The moment I reclaimed my head, I glanced about, filled with dread. There were still the children I needed to find, and their fates were plaguing my mind. Thankfully, as I looked around, no other bodies could be found. Merely a scooter and a wagon lay amidst the frightening horde display.
There was no one nearby?
Perhaps that shadow, of which I caught sight, was one of the children in mid-flight. The other could have simply hid while farewell to that scene I bid. But that's just one thought in my mind, since no other figures I did find.
You sure? There was nobody there at all? Maybe, hiding in the trees or
Somebody said no.
something?
Objection! Continuing to press the issue won't yield a different answer, defense. I suggest you move on before you waste all of our time.
Well, excuse me, princess. Nothing wrong with double checking, now is there?
Witness, what happened after you found the body?
Once I was sure that he was dead, to the police I quickly fled.
Hold it! Did you happen to run into anyone on your way there?
While leaving the forest, I saw not a soul. It was, ironically, a more pleasant stroll.
I see. And how long did it take you to get to the police station?
I'm not sure. My sense of time dissolved amidst the thoughts of the crime.
Let's puzzle it out then, shall we? Witness, you claim to have left your house at 10:15. Is that correct?
Yes, it is exactly as you claim. I left right as the odd noise came.
From there, you headed to the scene of the crime, which we have confirmed was a roughly 15-minute walk. This means you arrived around 10:30. Next, you examined the scene. How long would you say you stayed there?
Well, it doesn't feel right to make a guess. I'd say 5 minutes, more or less.
So you left at 10:35. The walk out of the ruins and then back through the forest is approximately 35 minutes. The police station itself is another 10 minutes away from the forest. This puts the witness arriving
45 minutes later.
11:20 that night.
Those are some very nice calculations, Prosecutor Luna.
Nice!
Oh, come on! Don't be that impressed.
The best is yet to come,
Still.
Your Honor. I have here a report from that very station. It confirms that this witness notified the police of a body around that time.
Order! Order!
Great. Instead of casting doubt on her testimony, I just made it even more reliable. Come on. Oh, this is just hopeless. There's not a single contradiction. What am I supposed to do?
Enough! I believe we have reached the end of this cross-examination.
Agreed, Your Honor. I don't think our golden pixie can take much more. Best we put her out of her misery now.
What about you, defense? Are you finished with this testimony? As far as the court can see, there were no contradictions contained within it. As things stand, we will have to trust in what the witness has told us. If you have a rebuttal, Miss Sykes, now would be the time to give it.
Yeah, sure. I'll get right on it with a whole lot of nothing I can even say. Twilight? Do you have any ideas?
Well, just one, but
Great. What is it?
I don't think it's a good idea, though.
Well, just tell it to me anyway. We can decide together.
I don't think we have the time for that, Athena. let's just keep following the flow of the trial. Maybe something else will come up later that we can attack.
No, we can't just let this slide. This testimony is too damaging. We
Okay,
have to
Athena,
strike
don't
now.
push too hard.
I understand that, Athena. I do. But right now, I don't think there's anything more we can do.
But we can't just give up, Twilight. You said you'd try
Oh,
and
don't
help
do
me
that,
in any way
Athena.
you
Don't
could.
guilt trip her.
If you have an idea for how to get us out of this mess, even if it's awful, you have to tell me. Otherwise, we'll lose.
I know that. But I can't let you do this. I've seen it happen before, and it's not worth it. There has to be another way.
There is no other way. We need to do something right now. We can't let Scootaloo or Turning Page down.
What is
I'm
it?
not saying we should give up. I'm just saying that
Unless you two are interested in sharing with the court what you are squabbling about, I believe it is time we moved on.
No! I can't let this happen. If I let this testimony stand, I'll never be able to recover from it.
Very well. Witness, thank you for your time. You may.
Objection! Wait, hold on. There's something about the witness's testimony that I find strange.
Oh, really now? Please.
Athena, don't push so hard.
Athena, stop!
Sorry, Twilight, but I can't just sit and wait for an opportunity to show itself. I have to knock this testimony down now.
This better not be a bluff, Miss Sykes.
Of course it isn't, Your Honor.
It totally is.
Shut up, Widget.
Talking to yourself, are we?
Don't let them distract you, Athena. If Twilight doesn't want to help me, then I'll just have to figure this out by myself. But there aren't any contradictions or flaws. What now? What would Mr. Right do here? He'd turn his thinking around. Think outside of the box. If I can't cast doubt on the testimony itself, then what if I just cast doubt on the
No.
one testifying? Is there a way to do that?
Miss Sykes, I've had enough of you wasting this court's time. Present your rebuttal, or let us move on.
Yes, Your Honor. Here goes nothing. So, actually, the previous testimony didn't have any noticeable contradictions in it.
What? But is that not what we've been saying this whole time?
Yes, but, well, what if we think about this
Sorry
another
about that.
way?
Another way?
Athena.
According to the testimony, Zecora saw Scootaloo and Turning Page headed towards the crime scene. She heard a noise and headed there herself. On the way, she came across the two running away from the scene, and shortly afterwards,
She didn't say that.
she arrived on the site.
And right there, she found the dead body of one royal order. I see no point in us repeating all of this.
Well, let's think about that last point for a minute. As we established earlier, the victim suffered both a blow to the side and a stab to the head. What's more, we know for a fact that after the victim was knocked to the ground, he managed to get back up again.
Quite so. Our current theory is that Turning Page was the one who hit him
Athena,
using his sword. However,
don't
if
do
he was
this.
killed right at that moment, the stab wound would be on the opposite side of his head. Therefore, he must have had an opportunity to stand upright before being stabbed and falling over again.
Right. But as was pointed out earlier,
Selena, I
Scootaloo
think
could
I know
not
where
have
you're
been the
going.
one
Don't
to
do
inflict
this.
the fatal wound. She can't fly, so she wouldn't have been able to stab Royal Order in the head after he stood up.
Which leads us to the conclusion that it must have been Turning Page. He used his magic to stab the victim with the scooter. There wasn't anyone else on the scene who could have done it, after all.
This is it. Now's my chance. I may not personally believe what I'm about to say, but I don't have a choice now.
No.
My hand's been forced. But there was someone on the scene, actually. After Scootaloo and Turning Page fled, someone else arrived and had the perfect opportunity to murder the victim.
Athena, please.
Wait, you aren't saying...
Defense?
Let's assume that Turning Page really did hit his father, and he fell to the ground. Now, at that point, Who's to say Scootaloo and Turning didn't flee right then, without killing him?
Then that would mean the one who showed up on the scene after they left would have...
Exactly. Given
Athena.
this scenario, it's entirely possible that our witness, Miss Sakura, is Royal Order's true killer.
What?
Order! Order in the court! Miss Sykes, are you saying that her whole testimony was one giant lie made to cover up her crime?
Not necessarily everything. Just the part where she claimed to have stumbled across the dead body. The defense believes that, instead of finding Royal Order dead, Sakura came across him as he was getting up. She then took the scooter that was left on the scene and stabbed him in the head. Afterwards, she reported the body to the police, claiming he was already dead when she found him.
That is a ridiculous accusation! What could possibly be my
Well,
motivation?
unfortunately, Sakura, we don't seem
Turning
to be
and Scootaloo
worried
don't
about
have
that
motives
right
either.
now.
Is it really that much of a stretch to suspect
Thank you for
as
at least acknowledging that, Athena.
Your Honor, I may not have any evidence to back up this claim, but you can't deny it is a possibility. As such, we shouldn't take stock in any of this witness's testimony.
It's true. The yellow attorney brings up a good point. Would the court really do that, though?
Dunno, but hey, if she's right, that means those two kids are innocent.
Well, that was super British.
You naive child!
Child?
Prosecutor Luna, please. There will be no insults in my courtroom.
For one who knows not the weight of her words, I can't think of a better comparison.
Hey! What gives? I was just...
You intend to cast doubt on the witness in order to save your own clients. Yet, to do so, you accuse her of committing the crime herself.
Well, what else was I supposed to do? That testimony...
Was not at all conclusive.
Huh?
The witness never saw who the killer was. She didn't even clearly see who was running away from the scene.
But that's what you and Your Honor were assuming.
And it's your job to point out why that assumption is flawed, and demand further evidence and testimony for the prosecution to support their case. But instead of doing that, you have openly accused this witness. You have dirtied not just her name, but if you're wrong, yours as well.
Get her, Luna.
And you, ponies of the gallery, you who would be so quick to suspect this poor creature on nothing but a baseless theory. Shame on you all! Is this the kind of harmony Equestria seeks to share with the world?
Order! Order! That's enough, Prosecutor Luna. Make one more disparaging remark towards Miss Sykes or the gallery, and I'll have you held in contempt of court.
My apologies, Your Honor.
Say what you want, Prosecutor Luna, but my theory doesn't contradict any of the evidence or testimony presented in this trial. As long as that remains true, I'm free to continue asserting it.
Very well. If that's the path you choose, so be it. I wonder if your co-counsel feels the same way, though.
I'm sorry, Twilight, but it's too late for me to back down.
Nevertheless, you shan't be relying on that theory for much longer. If I can't convince you to simply abandon it, then I'll just force you to go against it.
What do you mean? Uh-oh. I don't
You're
like
not
the
gonna
sound of
outplay
this.
Luna, Sykes.
You mentioned motive a minute ago, did you not? The motive that Scootaloo and Turning Page lack? It's about time we discussed that.
More than.
Don't you think? So bring out that letter you received yesterday.
Letter?
The blackmail letter. I know you have it. Show it to the court. Now.
Darn it. What does she know about the blackmail? Did Scootaloo or Turning tell her?
Defense? What's this about a blackmail letter?
Your Honor, it's This, right here. Scootaloo and her friends, the Cutie Mark Crusaders, received it yesterday afternoon. Their scooter, wagon, and capes were all stolen by some pony. To get them back, they'd have to bring the blackmailer a roll of golden silk.
Those items all sound familiar.
They should, Your Honor. All of these items were accounted for at the crime scene.
You're right. But why would that be?
Read the letter yourself, and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Oh! The location of the blackmail. It's the same place where the murder occurred.
Precisely, Your Honor. Now, we finally know why the defendants were in the forest in the first place. They went to settle this deal with their blackmailer.
I see. And I guess this would mean Turning Page is a member of these Cutie Mark Crusaders?
Not exactly, Your Honor. The two had met for the first time earlier that day. They became quick friends over the course of an afternoon.
But then, why did Mr. Page get involved with the blackmail?
During her interrogation, the defendant, Scootaloo, mentioned that she was backed into a corner when her friends decided against following the orders they were given. She decided, instead, to ask her newfound friend, Turning Page, to help her retrieve what had been taken. The two conspired to break into and steal from Carousel Boutique in order to acquire the golden silk the blackmailer asked for.
These two kids broke into a store?
Oh, this doesn't look good.
After acquiring
Maybe you
the
should have
fabric,
brought it up
they
earlier,
proceeded
Athena.
to enter the forest and made their way to the scene where the blackmailer was waiting.
And this blackmailer, who were they?
I can answer that, Your Honor. The defense believes they were two fillies named Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon.
Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon?
An infamous pair of bullies whom the Crusaders are unfortunately well acquainted with. They constantly harass the group for not having their cutie marks yet, calling them names like Blank Flanks.
Bullies? How awful! Let me speak with them. There'll be no bullying on my
More importantly,
watch.
speak with the bitch of a mother.
Pretty content watching me get insulted, though. There's more, Your Honor. You see, yesterday when we spoke to Scootaloo at the detention center, we learned that an altercation between the Crusaders and these bullies occurred on the day of the murder. During that exchange, Turning Page came to their aid and chased the bullies off. This was where Scootaloo and Turning Page first met, and later, spent time getting to know each other.
And I assume this is somehow related to the blackmail letter?
Precisely, Your Honor. The two fillies were angry that their encounter with the Crusaders ended with them getting told off, so they blackmailed them in retaliation. If you look at the top of the letter, you'll see that it begins with, "Hey there, Blank Flanks." The only ponies who would address the Crusaders as such are these bullies. This serves as definitive proof that the ponies who wrote the blackmail letter
Not
are none
really.
other than Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon.
Objection! Unfortunately, defense,
Yeah.
that is not a wholly
Someone could have
concrete
faked it.
possibility.
Huh? But
Someone could have
The
known and
insults
used
could
it.
easily be a red herring by the author of the note. These fillies are not the only ones who are aware of that particular taunt. After all, if these fillies are as infamous as you say they are, then any pony familiar with them would know that they are fond of the term blank flank. It's hardly proof, defense. Suppose Your Honor began to refer to you as Golden Pixie. Would that make him me?
Well, would it, Golden Pixie? I very much would not mind being considered a princess.
I'd rather not answer that, Your Honor.
But now, let us turn our attention to the letter itself. I'm sure everyone can see that this note is written entirely in letters cut out from a magazine. As a result, it is impossible to perform any sort of writing analysis. However, that doesn't mean we can't prove who the author of this note is.
How?
If we could find the magazines that these letters were cut out from, it'd be a simple matter of matching the cuts on the letters to the holes in the magazines.
Yeah, but we don't have those magazines.
Are you sure about that?
Mr. John Cena.
Are those?
I have here 2 magazines with several letters cut out from many different pages.
Nah, fam, those are My
If
Little
the
Pony
court
comics.
would be so kind, I'd like to request some time for the police to analyze the letters on the note and the empty spaces in the magazines. If we get a match, then we'll know for a fact that the blackmail letter was written using these magazines.
And whose
Very well.
are those?
The court grants the prosecution's request. Private Eye,
Yes, my lord.
please take this letter and these magazines and have an analysis performed. Try to have it done in 30 minutes.
Because
if
that's
you
how
can.
quick that would happen.
Certainly, my lord.
Prosecutor Luna, have the results come in yet?
They were just delivered, Your Honor.
And what's the conclusion?
The letters on the blackmail note match the shape of the cuts in the magazines.
I see. So it has been proven how the blackmail letter was written. But I
Whose
fail
magazines
to
are they?
see how this helps us, prosecutor.
Rest assured, Your Honor, we did not simply pick those magazines up off the street or find them in a dumpster.
You must have found them in either Diamond or Silver's house, right?
Nope.
The magazines that were used to write the blackmail letter were found in the home of Royal Order.
What?
Order in the court! Prosecutor Luna, are you saying that the one behind the blackmail was the victim himself?
No.
At the site of the blackmail, it was his body that remained after Scootaloo and Turning Page fled the scene. Additionally, the magazines used to write the blackmail letter were found in his home. It certainly doesn't look good for him.
Why would he do that? I swear to fuck. There's so many conclusions being jumped to here. It's not even, without asking why, it's not even funny.
The Royal Guard was a blackmailer?
I can't believe it. I won't believe it.
I don't either.
If you think about it,
No.
it does seem to line up.
It really doesn't. Oh my god.
Prosecutor Luna, you can't seriously be suggesting that Royal Order is the blackmailer. It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Twilight.
What do you mean by that, Princess Twilight?
Royal Order was in Canterlot on the eve of the murder. He would not have been able to steal the Crusaders' belongings, nor send them the blackmail letter. Those events transpired much earlier in the day. Unless the prosecution can explain how he absconded with the Crusaders' things while in Canterlot, it's impossible for him to be the blackmailer.
He can
Is
teleport.
that so? Well then, Prosecutor Luna, what do you say to that?
The defense
I don't even know if I'm on
is,
camera right now.
of course, correct, Your Honor. Given the fact he was in Canterlot when the theft occurred, Royal Order could not be the blackmailer. However, I don't recall ever asserting that he was. Miss Sparkle merely assumed that would be my argument, and has seemingly overlooked the fatal implication this evidence actually holds.
What?
Royal Order was not around to set up this whole blackmailing scheme, yet the fact remains that these magazines were
Where
discovered
Turning
in his
also
home.
lived.
This can only mean that the perpetrator of this blackmailing must be some pony else who lives there. We know for a fact it can't be Turning,
What?
given that he went
Wait.
with Scootaloo into the forest to settle the deal. That leaves us with only one other possibility.
You don't mean...
The perpetrator can
Devotion.
only be the victim's wife, Miss Fair Devotion.
What?
Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor Luna, are you sure? That's the defendant's own mother!
I am, Your Honor, as much as it pains me to say. But remember, Turning Page was not the target of the blackmail. The Crusaders, and by extension Scootaloo, were. Turning simply accompanied her into the forest. In which case, it's not so unthinkable that his mother could very well have been behind the whole thing.
Objection! This is ridiculous. Why would Miss Devotion want to blackmail the Crusaders?
Because she needed to.
She needed to?
You explained it to us earlier, Defense, did you not? Turning Page confronted two bullies earlier that day, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. He intervened whilst they were harassing the Crusaders. However, you left out the most important detail.
What detail?
That Turning's attack resulted in the fillies' dresses getting ruined. Now tell me, Golden Pixie, what do you suppose happened afterwards?
Their rich-ass parents bitched at his mother
Afterwards?
for them.
There's plenty more to this story than what has been told. Luckily, thanks to our interrogation of Miss Devotion, we are able to shed light on this matter.
Please explain, prosecutor.
According to Fair Devotion, Diamond Tiara's mother, Spoiled Rich, met with
Bitch.
her later that day, after hearing about the incident from her daughter. Those dresses Turning Page dirtied were custom-made and quite expensive. So, of course, Mrs. Rich was rather upset to hear about what had happened to them. Seeing as how the fault lay with her son, Spoiled demanded that Miss Devotion pay back the money in compensation.
And she agreed to that. Why?
Once again, out of necessity. Mrs. Rich happens to be the president of the Ponyville School Board.
Who let that
Miss
bitch
Devotion
be
feared
president?
That if she didn't agree, Mrs. Rich would ensure that she would never work at the school again.
It's horrible.
But now I'm sure you can see why Miss Devotion would need to get her hooves on a great deal of money quickly.
But the blackmail letter didn't ask for money. It asked for the fabric.
Which is rare and expensive.
Indeed it did. Now,
It's made out of
why,
gold.
Miss Sparkle, would that be the case?
Why? Well, because...
Like I said, it takes a long time to make, and it costs a lot of money.
the fabric would fetch a pretty high price if sold to the right pony?
Exactly. The value of that golden silk was brought up during the fight between the kids. Turning must have overheard what was said and recounted the details to his mother when she confronted him. And that, fillies and gentle colts, is precisely what gave Miss Devotion the idea to blackmail the Cutie Mark Crusaders. She did it in order to pay off Spoiled Rich.
Shit just took one hell of a turn.
What is even happening right now? Luna somehow opened up the possibility that Fair Devotion wrote the blackmail
You're
letter.
dealing with a 1,000-year-old
You
demigod.
presented a very
Athena, you're
convincing
not gonna
argument, prosecutor.
Outthink her
But
that
there's still
easily.
one thing that troubles me.
And what would that be, Your Honor?
Earlier, you said that you think Royal Order is somehow involved in the blackmail. But it's been proven that he wasn't around to steal the Cutie Mark Crusaders' effects or send the letter. So, how can that be?
There's no big mystery here, Your Honor. It's easy to imagine that Miss Devotion and her husband were working together.
Working together? But I thought Mr. Order had gone into that forest to look for his son.
So Miss Devotion claims, but the prosecution sees no reason to trust her word anymore. The instant these magazines were matched with this blackmail letter, all of her testimony became highly suspect.
You're quite right. The magazines leave little room for doubt in regards to who the blackmailer was.
Which means they also cast doubt on her explanation for Mr. Order's movements. Taking that into account, we must seek another explanation for why he went into the forest. Luckily, there is a rather simple one. Perhaps, as soon as Mr. Order got home, Miss Devotion explained the whole situation to him. Armed with the knowledge of the blackmailing and the fabric roll, he would have left immediately for the castle. That would be the real reason why Royal Order went into the forest that night. He intended to act as the recipient for the blackmail.
And he didn't expect his son to be involved.
And thus, we arrive at the heart of the matter. The motive for the murder. I don't think we could ever truly know what happened at the foot of the bridge that night.
Turning would have felt betrayed.
However, if Mr. Order was the recipient for the exchange, then we can make a few inferences. It could be as simple as the negotiations going sour, or it could be that learning what his father was doing infuriated Turning to the point of attacking him. Whichever scenario you choose, The basic facts remain the same. Royal Order was present at the scene of the blackmail and died there, murdered. The only ones who could have done it are the only two who were at the scene at the time.
Were they the only two?
Scootaloo and Turning Page. However, as the defense has previously demonstrated, it'd be rather difficult for Scootaloo to be involved in this crime, given her inability to fly and the fact that the victim was killed while standing. Therefore, the prosecution is willing to cut the defense a deal here.
What is it?
Concede that Turning Page is guilty of murdering his father, and will be willing to let Scootaloo off without a single charge. The choice is yours, Golden Pixie.
Hold it!
Turning's gonna confess.
Your Honor? No! Defend me if you must. But just know that if I think things start to look bad, I won't hesitate to confess if it means saving her.
He's going to confess. I have to stop him. Objection! Turning, don't do this! We don't have to give up yet!
Thank you for fighting so hard for us, Miss Sykes. But this is honestly for the best.
Objection! No! It's not. I promised you both. I'd save the two of you together!
But there's no way you can do that now, can you? And besides, this is...
Just tell me one thing, Turning. Who was it that you met at the bridge? Was it really your father?
No.
So I was right then. It was Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon.
Well, yes, it was. But that's...
Ha! See, Luna? The defendant just disproved your whole theory. Objection!
His word's
Yes,
not going to...
congratulations, my dear Golden Pixie. You can now add perjury to the defendant's list of charges.
Objection! Not if he's telling the truth, Prosecutor Luna.
In that case, defense, let's clear this matter up once and for all, shall we?
Wait, but
Shh! It's all right, Turning Page. Don't forget what I told you before this all started. You and Scootaloo have nothing to worry about, I promise. Surely, Miss Sykes can promise you the same?
Is she? Yes, she's trying to help them. Of course! That explains all those hints from before. And why she got so mad when I accused Zakora, too. There's no way I can do this by myself. She wants to help, and I need it. Accidenti! I'm never gonna get any better if I keep getting bailed out like this! But I need to do something! Just this once, okay? Just this once.
There's no shame in leaning on help when it's offered.
Yes, Prosecutor Luna. I can indeed.
Glad to see we're on the same page, then.
all right. Go ahead, Miss Sykes.
Thank you, Turning.
I think... yeah, we're a little over 30 minutes. So I'm going to end this here. Fuck me, this took a weird-ass turn I was not expecting, but I should be expecting that by now. These always wind up twisting it in ways that you would not see coming. But so from what Turning said, it was not his father that was there, that they met. It was Diamond and Tiara. It was Diamond, Tiara, and Silver Spoon. But still, why were the magazines at his house? So many questions opened up at this point. Alright, I'm going to cut this one here. As always, I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought. And I will see you in the next part. Harmonia Invictus.
Open your eyes, life is all around you. Don't have to be so alone. Take a good look at this world you found and breathe, now you're finally home.